means to be human. This book will argue that the current law concerning the core vital conflicts of American public bioethics is grounded in a gravely incomplete and thus false vision of human identity and flourishing. It is a vision that defines the human being fundamentally as an atomized and solitary will. It equates human flourishing solely with the capacity to formulate and pursue future plans of one's own invention. By contrast, the law in this domain views the natural world and even the human body itself as merely inchoate matter to be harnessed and remade in service of such projects of the will. But human beings do not live as mere atomized wills, and there is more to life than self-invention and the unencumbered pursuit of a destiny of our own devising. The truth is that persons are embodied beings, with all the natural limits and great gifts this entails. We experience our world, ourselves, and one another as living and dying bodies. Because we are bodies, vulnerability, mutual dependence, and natural limits are inextricable features of our lived human reality. And our embodiment situates us in a particular relationship to one another, from which emerge obligations to come to the aid of vulnerable others, including, especially, the disabled, the elderly, and children. But because the law governing several of the core vital conflicts of American public bioethics rests on a vision of human identity and flourishing that does not consider embodiment as essential to its account of the person, it fails to recognize these obligations and leaves the weakest and most vulnerable members of the human community invisible and unprotected. As is true for all areas of law and policy, if public bioethics is to effectively protect and promote the flourishing of human beings, it must be rooted in a conception of human identity that corresponds to embodied, lived reality. Public bioethics must therefore be grounded in the whole truth of who we are and how we stand in relation to one another as vulnerable, mutually dependent, finite, and embodied beings. Accordingly, this book will reframe and resituate three principal contemporary issues of public bioethics within what will be termed an anthropological paradigm. Law and public policy are irreducibly normative, aiming at goods to be pursued and promoted, as well as harms to be avoided or remediated. Despite efforts to avoid appeals to comprehensive visions of the good in policy debates and lawmaking, all legislative, regulatory, and judicial authorities, along with the public and academic discourse that ground and sustain them, unavoidably rely on contested but mostly undeclared visions of what it means to be and thrive as a human being. This is a fortiori true of public bioethics. For this reason, the first task at hand is to subject the core disputes of American public bioethics to a searching, inductive, anthropological analysis that will uncover, illuminate, and critique the conception of human identity and flourishing that underwrites current law and policy. To understand why a new framework is needed and how it might be integrated into law and policy, we must first explore the history and practicalities of American public bioethics. Accordingly, Chapter 1 traces the historical trajectory of public bioethics in the United States with special attention to three signal events at its inception that illustrate the legal, ethical, and political paradigm that persists to the present day. Chapter 2 reflects on the problem and solution of anthropology, offering an account of the book's primary mode of inquiry and an exploration and critique of expressive individualism, the vision of human identity and flourishing that animates key conflicts of American public bioethics. Following that is a more in-depth exploration of these perennial vital conflicts of American public